Welcome in and welcome back. We are here for Popcorn Weekly Movie News, and we've got 7 things to talk about, ranging from touching on Sylvester Stallone, because who doesn't want to touch on Sylvester Stallone, Batman, movie business news, which might work better on my other weekly feature, The Weekly Investor, but who cares, Boba Fett, She-Hulk, G.I. Joes, and Hercules. So, Sylvester Stallone says that Demolition Man 2 is in production, or at least in development. I don't think I've ever wanted a movie more in my life. Demolition Man really defined at least 2 years of my life as a kid, and not the least of which was a 3DO game, a 3DO video game about the movie. This was a fantastic property, and I think a lot of people are going to question the timing. 3 seashells apart, but is there ever a bad time for a return to Demolition Man? I think not. What I want to know, though, is what is the play? From where are we coming at this story? A lot of things you could do, a lot of new special effects that you could put to play, but Stallone hasn't really been very much about that of late. Stallone has been very much nitty-gritty with his movies. So I am wondering, how close to the bone is this movie going to cut? And will there be a real social commentary to the sequel? The next thing is that the Batman, has moved its premiere to October 2021. And I think the easy go-to explanation for this would be that they believe this movie has some type of Oscar aspirations. After all, we are coming hot off of the heels of The Joker being an October premiere. But I don't think that's the case. I think what is really going on here is probably story-driven. Obviously, this is due to the coronavirus, but I think that they are moving it to October rather than another summer date is because a lot of the whispers about this project and a lot of the casting news about this project seem to hint that we're going to be getting something closer to The Long Halloween than any of the other Batman IPs, any of the other Batman storylines that we've gotten to date. And it would be one hell of a thing to debut a Batman franchise with The Long Halloween. You are insinuating a long history to this character in the premiere movie of the franchise. So it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. Why, if there is any reason other than just timing, that we have moved this movie to October 2021 versus and obviously The Joker also made $1 billion. Venom almost made $1 billion, but that was an October movie too, I believe. So obviously there is money to be made in the month of October, but what is the real play? Does this have to do simply with timing? Does this have to do simply with Oscar aspirations, or does it point more towards a themed movie, such as a storyline like The Long Halloween? The next thing to talk about is that NBC Universal's Fandango buys Vudu from Walmart for $100 million. Vudu, for anyone who doesn't know, and I didn't know, Vudu is a movie rental app, basically, whereby Universal is gaining access to 100 million devices. I had no idea what Vudu even was. Now, I am not the most adept at social change, at technological change, so perhaps You knew more about this than I did. But the big question is, why? I think that this is a follow-up play for Fandango. Think about your Barnes & Noble receipts. Did you like The Old Man and the Sea? Maybe you would like A Farewell to Arms. Maybe you would like The Great Gatsby. I think that is probably the play with which we will be going. I think that is probably the strategic benefit to Fandango buying Vudu. You're going to see The Batman. Have you seen The Dark Knight? Something like that. I think that is the play that we are going for here, and it seems to make good business sense. When we are talking about all of these ways that companies are creeping closer and closer to the consumer, how is it that someone who's selling you movie tickets creeps closer and closer to the consumer, if not by the follow-up? You just saw this tonight. Do you have a couple more hours before going to sleep? Where are you going now? To Netflix and chill? Hang out with us instead. Next, Boba Fett. Boba Fett is coming to The Mandalorian. He is joining Ahsoka Tano. These are not characters with which I am super familiar, not being a Star Wars guy, but I know of them. I know who they are. I know what they've done, where they've been-ish. But one thing that this does raise the question of, now, I didn't see Season 1 of The Mandalorian, as I am a shut-in, and I do not have a television or Disney Plus or any of these things, but I did keep up with some of the reactions on YouTube simply because it's interesting to me. And the one thing that I have to cite the first season for is gambling on new characters and coming up big. There were a lot of new characters in Season 1 of The Mandalorian, a lot of people created by the showrunners, and those characters were popular, even if they were like IG-88 or Baby Yoda iterations on previous characters. They were still new characters. So, is this a nostalgia play? And if so, why? You have Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett, who are legacy Star Wars characters, being pulled into what had been a series very good about creating new characters. Is this a play too? Also, The Mandalorian was a big hit. It was a reclamation of Star Wars. While and whereas the movie series has been steadily tanking at the box office, each movie making gradually less than the last, and the solo series is, pun intended, canceled altogether. So is this a play to make legacy Star Wars cool again, make Star Wars great again? Is that what we're going for here? I think it's very possible. I think that you are putting your trust in Favreau's hands, in Filoni's hands, and you're hoping they can roll snake eyes once again, because that first season was massive, not just for Star Wars, but also for Disney Plus, also for merchandising, and also for Disney proper. Along with this comes the news that Peyton Reed and Robert Rodriguez will be two of the directors on Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Peyton Reed is an interesting choice coming off of Ant-Man and Ant-Man 2. Robert Rodriguez is an especially inspired choice. It will be interesting to see him bring his indie film type of sentiments to something like Star Wars. It will be interesting to see him play in that playground, especially as the Mandalorian. rounds out to be basically a Western. Robert Rodriguez has been there before, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. So, yeah, I think that season 2 is rounding out to be at least, will garner at least all of the fanfare that did season 1, despite the fact that Baby Yoda is no longer a surprise. The next story is that She-Hulk scripts are done. It's not too exciting. Never been a She-Hulk fan. But what it does say is that Disney Plus, on which She-Hulk will premiere, it will be a Disney Plus series. It does insinuate that Disney Plus seems to be making all of the moves that they can during this time. One of the things for which Disney Plus has been criticized is that it does not have all that much original content. Well, they've been severely hamstrung by the world situation. That said, it's not really an excuse. So I think that what we're doing here with this news and with the leaks and with the constant promotion of The Mandalorian is that's Disney trying to get out there that, hey, we're still working on things. We're still going forward. Have a little bit of patience. Disney recently on their quarterly earnings report cited 55.1 or 55.2 million worldwide paying subscribers to Disney Plus. This is years ahead of the Netflix pace, so it will be interesting to see how quickly Disney can turn a profit off of Disney Plus. And if they get into that hundreds of millions of dollars per month in revenue, what type of series will we be getting from the Disney Plus banner? Moving on, we've already mentioned Snake Eyes in this episode. Paramount is developing a new G.I. Joe reboot. It is devastating to me that the original G.I. Joe series, with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Ray Park, somehow still found a way to absolutely suck. So, what are they going to do to get better this next go-around? I don't know. I think that what could happen is that we've been seeing more and more stuntmen writing scripts, more and more stuntmen getting directing jobs. We've seen more and more stuntmen moving up the Hollywood ladder. Perhaps the G.I. Joe franchise could provide a stomping grounds for the stuntmen of the world to make Hollywood movies that just appeal to guys again. This is something that the Expendables franchise, which we will be mentioning in a moment, tried to do, but kind of fell short. And I don't know anyone who can watch that first Expendables movie and not get G.I. Joe vibes. So maybe with that paired with the up-and-coming John Wick franchise and spin-offs, we could really see a return to more basic action films, getting away from the Fast and the Furious franchise and things such as that. The last thing to cover on this episode is, yes, Disney is moving full steam ahead with their live-action remakes, live-action in quotes, remakes of their animated classics. This time, maybe, classics is in quotes, as the next movie to get that type of attention will be Hercules. That's right, Hercules. Dave Callahan, who wrote the original Expendables movie and is writing one of the new Marvel movies, Shang-Chi, maybe? One of the new Marvel movies, is writing the script for the live-action Hercules, and it will be produced by the Russo brothers production company. So we are getting, for better or worse, Hercules. Who saw that one coming? Not me. Which will make it to theaters first, Mulan or Hercules? I think that it is upsetting and tragic what is happening to the Mulan film, because it was supposed to be really, really good. That said, my question is, what will be the next live-action Disney movie? My money is on Fantasia.